Good afternoon, I'm Joyce and Antoine, and you're watching MediaPlex Live at 1. Firefighters in Essex are currently working to extinguish a structural fire on the 100 block of Laird Avenue. According to Essex Fire and Rescue officials, no injuries are reported and there are no recent updates on the cause of the fire or damage estimates. Canada is seeking approval to charter a plane for the 325 Canadians who have requested to return home from Wuhan, China. The coronavirus-afflicted province is currently in lockdown, but after the first confirmed death outside of China in the Philippines, Canadian government officials are preparing to bring them home. Passengers are asked to contact the Emergency Watch and Response Center in Ottawa and will have to undergo thorough health screenings and quarantine for 2 weeks post-arrival. Catholic school teachers are going on strike tomorrow, closing both primary and secondary schools across the province. The Windsor Essex Catholic School Board is asking students and their families to remain patient as the provincial collective bargaining process unfolds. The public elementary school teachers are following suit with not one, but a 2-day walkout on Thursday and Friday. The Friday strike will affect only Windsor and Essex County. The Windsor Public Library has moved to a new downtown location. Prabhav Nayak went for a tour.
The central branch of Windsor Public Library officially opened in the Paul Martin building at 185 Olet Avenue on Monday morning.
This change has taken about 2 years for us to accomplish, from the planning to the actual moving. It's been a huge undertaking. The old library at 850 Olet was sold to the Mission 2 years ago, and so since then we've been in a process of migrating down to 185 in the old Paul Martin.
The new branch moved into old space at the backside of the building, which used to be a Canada Post sorting room.
We have books for adults, children's, teenagers, all ages. We also have books in many different languages.
The move is intended to be temporary, but a permanent location hasn't been pegged.
So I'm really excited about the next few years here at the Paul Martin building, especially just because, everybody's excited, staff is excited, doing a lot of things that, again, being closer to the students and the people who use the library make this a great location.
For MediaPlex News, I'm Prabhav Nayak.
For the first time in 50 years, the Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions, but many Canadians weren't as lucky with their betting. Bird Bouchard joins us live in the studio to explain.
Thanks, Joyce. The Super Bowl is one of the busiest times of the year for sports bettors, and while they could still wager on this year's event, the odds were not in their favor. That's because single-game sports betting is still illegal in Canada.
Winner, Gagnon.
As the Super Bowl grabbed the world's attention Sunday night, many Canadian bettors had the odds stacked against them. Local MPP Brian Massey has been working for over a decade to legalize single-event sports betting, saying Canadian cities are behind the times when it comes to the practice. He believes with Michigan on track to get single-event sports betting legalized by April, time is ticking away.
We get contacted from people from Ohio, from Indiana, from Michigan, asking about the status of single-event sports gaming in Canada. With Michigan coming online, they're going to get it sooner. It'll be about customer retention. It's much harder to get people back when you lose them.
Back in October, Lakeshore Mayor Tom Bain claimed single-game sports betting would only cause problems with the horse racing in the region. Now, much like Massey, he thinks it's time to act, worrying the American market is slipping away.
The longer we sit on it and don't do something, the more of the market we're losing, especially that American market.
Mahomes, all day.
David Oriot has been betting on sports for nearly a decade. While he enjoys betting legally, he believes betting online is much more attractive.
Nobody wants to, dabble in certain sports that they know nothing about. Like I said, it having to be parlayed or paired with another game, of course, forces people to go online.
The Canadian Gaming Association estimates Canadians are wagering around $10 billion annually on illegal bookmaking operations. They also say Caesars Windsor would benefit as an additional 100 full-time jobs would be implemented if the bill were passed.
Brian Massey also tells me the process of getting single-game sports betting legalized is quite simple. He says it's a 2-line sentence in the criminal code that needs to be retracted, and the word "or" needs to be added in another sentence. But despite the easy fix, he says we need to act quickly, with Michigan currently on track to legalize single-game sports betting by April. just in time for March Madness's Final Four. Back to you, Joyce.
Thanks, Bird. Windsor police are looking for a suspect after a reported robbery in the 1000 block of Lausanne Road. According to police, the suspect entered a Little Caesars on Friday and demanded money at knife point. He ran from the store with Canadian cash. The suspect is described as a white man, approximately 6 feet tall, wearing a black hoodie, a dark-colored mask over his face, a grayish plaid jacket, and jeans. No injuries are reported. A shooting on an American Greyhound bus left 1 person dead and 5 wounded early this morning. According to the California Highway Patrol, the bus was headed from Los Angeles to the San Francisco area with 40 passengers on board. Police say an unidentified man is in custody. For the first time in 47 years, Britain has officially left the European Union. At 11 o'clock Friday night, thousands of Brexit supporters celebrated outside the House of Parliament as the UK's departure was confirmed. This brings an end to one of the most divided eras in British political history. Prime Minister Boris Johnson says his hope is to continue a friendly relationship with the EU. February is Black History Month, remembering an important part of Canadian history. As Felicia Go reports, it's in history that needs to be celebrated and remembered together.
The 7th annual Windsor Essex Joint Black History Month kicked off over the weekend. During Black History Month, Canadians celebrate the great contribution that Black Canadians have made throughout history. Irene Moore Davis, the president of Essex County Black Historical Resource Society, says Black History Month is a great opportunity to learn and popularize some little-known historical stories.
People don't know, for example, about the great community of really vibrant, dedicated anti-slavery activists or abolitionists who made their home here and did amazing things like establishing the first Black newspapers and anti-slavery organizations, and these wonderful organizations that settled the newly freed individuals.
The event invited dancers, poets, and musicians of Caribbean and African descent, as well as families of people who used the Underground Railroad. As the descendant of the Underground Railroad, T.J. Travis cared deeply about Black culture.
So it's important for us to reflect on the struggle of our ancestors, the journey that it took them, just so that we can enjoy the privileges that we have today.
There are more than 30 events are taking place this month in Windsor, Essex County around Black History Month. For more information, please visit amsterdamfreedom.org to see the full schedule. For MediaPlex News, I'm Felicia Guo.
Are you a Disney fan, or are you a live-action remake fan? Well, if you prefer these movies over the older animated ones, the Mulan live-action remake trailer has recently dropped.
It is what is best for our family.
Yes, I will bring honor to us all.
We've had Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and now another princess movie. Although she is not exactly a princess, the warrior is just one of many others to come. Upcoming movies such as Cruella from 101 Dalmatians, The Sword in the Stone, and Lilo and Stitch, and many others are rumored to be cast within the next year or two. It's been 22 years since the Mulan animated movie was released, but the premise of the new movie is still the same. When the Emperor of China issues a decree that one man per family must serve in the Imperial Chinese Army to defend the country, Han Mulan, the eldest daughter of an honored warrior, steps in to take the place of her ailing father. She is spirited, determined, and quick on her feet. But there's a catch. She must be disguised as a man. Mulan is tested every step of the way and must harness her innermost strength and embrace her true potential. In this rendition, the remake won't feature any songs from the original film, said female director Nikki Caro. Caro also directed The Zookeeper's Wife and Disney's McFarland USA. I'm not a huge fan of remakes, but for this flick, I have high hopes. It may be an early spring for Ontario. The infamous groundhog Wyerton Willie did not see his shadow yesterday, meaning Ontario may be thawing out over the next 6 weeks. Currently in weather. Today will be a mix of sun and clouds and a high of 8 degrees. Tuesday, we'll see some mixed precipitation with a high of 2 degrees. And on Wednesday, we'll have a mix of sun and clouds with a high of -2. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joyce and Antoine, and you've been watching MediaPlex Live at 1.